Welcome to the PBR Smasher Twitch channel. Also, welcome to the PBR Smasher YouTube channel. If you're new, what we do is we usually game, and lately we've been doing a little bit of tier listing for a change. So, if you're new to the channel, thanks for checking it out. I appreciate it. We're going to be doing a Wreckfest tier list just based off cars that I think are fun in the game. I'm going to have to try and weigh them a little bit on obviously their speed as well, but it comes down to a fun factor for me as well. So it's going to kind of be a toss up between the two things. If you've never heard of Wreckfest, it's a game that came out in 2013 through THQ Nordic and Bugbear, and it also came out in 2018 on Steam. So it's a fairly popular game still. It's got like a cult following for a couple hundred people. Otherwise, it's kind of died out. I don't know how I feel about like the wording on this tier list. We're gonna leave it the way it is, I guess. But it's gonna be absolute favorite, super fun. They're okay. Someone will enjoy it. Boring and lame. That's just what I guess. That's what we're gonna leave it as for now. I don't believe every car is on this list. I guess we'll see when we go, but I think we're gonna go by. If we went by just style factor, it'd be tough. We're gonna go by kind of an all around, my opinion of better car, like some of the best cars in the game, mixed with styling, I should say. So, Bandit Ripper is probably one of the coolest styled cars in the game, in my opinion. Um, I think we're gonna do tiers just because these are kind of weird. We're gonna put the Bandit Ripper right at B. I think it's a solid, well-rounded car. Um, it's not gonna be your best car. It's not gonna be your worst car. If it's something that you really enjoy the looks of, this is a great car to drive because it's gonna be a nice, well-rounded ride. Battle Bus, obviously, this is gonna be a controversial one. My opinion, it's gonna tip the scales at the top of B class for starters. I think the Battle Bus is freaking awesome. If you like going backwards, it's great. It's not extremely overpowered. It can be taken out if players know how to take it out. It's kind of a pain in the butt though. So we'll leave it. We'll leave it at B tier. Big Rig, personally not a fan, but it is faster than the Battle Bus with the same strength. It's the fastest semi in the game. I'd say the Big Rig, for utility purposes, is going to be in the A to B tier for a lot of people. For me, as far as like a vibe when you're playing the game, I don't get the same vibe being a Big Rig as I would being a bus. It just doesn't feel the same. So I'm going to put it at B tier. Performance wise, bar none, the Big Rig's going to be better than the bus for sure. Next up, we have the Blade. This kind of looks like an old Camaro or Pontiac. I don't even remember ever really driving this car. I can't give it much of a fair shake, to be honest with you. It's probably one of the only cars in the game I haven't tried. So I think we're gonna put it at D tier, just on the basis that I never really see anybody driving it. If you like those old 90s cars, 80s cars, then you probably like it. Um, the Boomer RS is next. Okay. This car is a pretty good banger. I would say we'd put this car at A tier for more technical tracks. It's a really great car. If you're playing in a lobby where people can just absolutely
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for the redemption, man. Thanks for the redemption. I'm starting to lose my voice, dude. I haven't talked this much in a while. The Boomer RS, great for technical tracks, bad for a wrecking track. If you're playing where people are wrecking a lot, you better be careful on that car. Boomer, we're going to throw at the bottom. We'll throw a Boomer right at C. It's probably going to drop later. So I think the RS is better, personally. Buggy, D tier. Kind of a lame car, in my opinion. Never really been a big Volkswagen guy. Bugzilla, F. I'm sorry, I'm just throwing these out here. Bugzilla is an F tier, in my opinion. Everyone loves Bugzilla. It's a great functional vehicle for certain tracks that involve lots of up and down inclines and embankments. Personally, I don't really like the car in the game because cars get stuck in the tires. It's a little bit more clunky. The collision detection feature of the Bugzilla just isn't there for me. So this is my own list. I hate playing against Bugzillas. I'll admit it. It's not a bad ride, so we'll kind of leave it where it's at. It's just not my cup of tea. We got a lot of cars to get through, so I'm going to kind of keep this pace going. Next, we're going to go with the Bulldog. This is kind of a crowd favorite among players that play this game. It's actually a really good car. I think we're going to edge that. As far as looks and stuff, I'm not huge on it, but we're going to put it right in front of the truck. I think it's a great car. I think if we're going off of not looks, I would put the Bandit Ripper behind the Bulldog. I think the Bulldog could edge out the Bandit Ripper in performance on mini maps. But this is about style, this is about looks, style, performance, everything. If you want to look kind of cool and drive, the Bandits were just way cooler. Just based off personal opinion. Next, we have the Fridge, the absolute beast of a fridge, the Bullet. The old Dukes of Hazzard car they tried modeling after. So we're going to put this old Dodge probably, if we're putting it on looks factor, A tier. If we're putting it on performance factor, I'm not huge on it. I think personally it's going to be the leader of the C tier for now. I think there's many better cars out there. Durability, it has some of the best durability in the game. If you want to look cool wrecking people, this is the car. This car has so much durability, and it's way cooler looking than the Duke. So I would put I put this at the top of C tier. We'll see if this one moves later on. Bumper car. We're going to put this at the F tier at the bottom of the list. Personally, not a big F tier bumper car, not a big bumper car guy. I think there's a lot more swag and a lot more cool stuff than the bumper car. Also, they didn't really give it a whole lot of good paint schemes, so there's other things out there. Moving on, the Gate Crasher. I keep forgetting to say, keep in mind, I guess I should say, this tier list is going to be for, I should have mentioned this earlier. I can put a disclaimer in the YouTube video later, but this tier list is going to be for A tier racing. This isn't C tier. This is going to be A tier for A tier car lists. And it's a lot more lenient based on like how the cars look, just out of personal preference. So it's not like a super accurate list of what's going to be the fastest necessarily. But we're going to take the Gate Crasher next. We're going to throw that right in front of the Bandit Ripper and behind the Boomer RS. This Gate Crasher is a super solid, well-rounded car. I would say much more common than a lot of the other cars in this tier list so far. It's a lot more common on the track. It's a really well-rounded car. Next, we got the Gorby. This one's going to shock people maybe, but based on style, based on cool factor, I think this is one of the best compact style cars in the game. We are gonna put this up in B tier. Oh, this is wild. I think the Boomer RS is I've rated too high. It's just such a fast car. That's the problem. The Boomer is so fast. This is tough. I think we're gonna split the Ripper and the Gatecrasher for the Gorby. The Gorby's awesome. Some good guys drive the Gorby in the game too. So if you guys are fans and actually play the game, you'll probably know who I'm talking about. But it's a great, well-rounded car, stylish. It's a DLC though, so if you don't want to spend money, you probably won't have the Gorby then. Next, we're going with the Grand Duke. This is going to be an A tier for a lot of people. Could be S tier. It's one of the fastest, heaviest cars in the game. Personally, to me, it's one of the ugliest cars in the game. It looks like a lump rolling around the track, but the thing is a tank and it hauls ass. There's only probably 3 vehicles in the game that can hit harder than it, which would probably be, we'll get to later, but the Battle Bus is one of them, and that's debatable. The Grand Duke, depending on how you position it, can really lay the wood. I'd probably be doing a disservice to people if I put the Grand Duke behind anything in B tier, but God, I don't know why out of all the cars, they just got to make these damn cars like some of the worst cars in the game. Personal opinion, are the best cars in the game. So we're gonna edge it out in B tier, but cool factor just isn't there for me. Like I don't think the Duke is cool. I think it's just really good functional car. I use it fairly often. Next up's the Gremlin. I put a shit emoji hat on top of my Gremlin. I call it the Shitmobile. Really easy car to drive around the track. Fun, fast. I'd say we're gonna put this right in front of the Bandit Ripper. It's a super solid B class. Actually, God, this is tough. I think I'm being too lenient with the B class. We might end up dropping some stuff down at some point here, but oh geez, I think we leave it the way it is for now. Next up, and to be honest, if you're picking any of these cars, a lot of the times the big rig's going to edge out a lot of these too. But we'll keep rolling. Next up, the Hammerhead RS. Everyone's favorite car. The fastest car in the game. The 1985 Volvo. Man, I don't give a shit about this car. I don't care if it's the fastest in the game. There's no way this is going in S tier for me. As far as functionality, the ease of driving, easily probably the best car in the game. It's not going to be my S tier car. I just don't like that they decided to go with this car for the factor of like coolness. I don't think it just doesn't have it for me. So we're going to put it in the A tier. If you're wanting the fastest car in the game, that's the car you choose. And I appreciate that they make that attainable through the tournament mode and that you don't have to buy it. But as far as personal preference, you'll never see me driving this car. And there's nothing wrong with people that do drive it. They're generally some of the best drivers in the game. It just doesn't strike me as something that I want to play. You know what I mean? So it's not a car that I choose. Hammerhead, also a very good car. I think we can edge that over the Bulldog. We're gonna put that behind the Bandit Ripper. We can. This is tough. I think we're gonna put it right here, right in between the Big Rig, and the Bulldog. Nothing wrong with the Hammerhead. The reason I don't mind the Hammerhead is because they didn't choose it to be the best car in the game. So I don't have as much of a weird vendetta about it for some reason. But we'll leave that where it's at. Harvester, we're going to put that above the Bugzilla and above the bumper car because the Harvester's cool. Functionality wise, the Bugzilla is obviously a lot better, but I think the Harvester's pretty sick. We're gonna drop this down too, actually. Buggy is coming into F tier. I'm just a piece of crap, I know, but that's what we're gonna do. Next up, the Cardinal, the old Crown Vic. I think this car is pretty sick. We're gonna put that right behind the Bullet. Very fun to drive, kind of tanky, kind of average. Floats on the rhythm section's okay. It's not a terrible ride, so kind of leave that where it's at. Next, we got the Dominator. Dominator smashes in demo derbies. Very, very smash-worthy car. Put that above the Boomer in the C tier, I think. Actually, yeah, it's a fine car. We'll leave it where it's at there. Doom Rig, super awesome car. We're putting it above the Big Rig. It's cooler. Functionality wise, the Big Rig's a lot better performing. Doom Rig's just freaking awesome looking. Like, you picked the coolest ass vehicle in the game. When that thing came out, everybody had it as quick as possible. That's how sick the Doom Rig is, you know, like it looks so sick. We're actually going to edge it over a few things because, man, this list is changing halfway as we're going through, isn't it? Kind of just going to things that I think are cool, but the Duke is so unmistakably good. I cannot justify bringing it down. Some of these other things I can justify that the coolness outweighs the performance. Like you're not gonna win tons of races in the normal Hammerhead. You're not gonna win tons of races in the Doom Rig. But if you want to go backwards and destroy people, that's your boy right there. Except we got the double decker. Slightly cooler than the Buggy and the Bugzilla. Terrible functionality. Harvester's a little bit more fun to drive probably, so we're going to put that right where it's at. So we got the Joe Dirt Drag Slayer coming in. The Plymouth. We're going to go and put this probably, as far as cool wise, I think the Ripper's cooler looking, but the Drag Slayer's pretty slick. I think we can put that right in between the Gremlin and the Gorby. Really nice paint schemes for this car in the game. Really good on certain tracks. If you like that car, you'll be totally happy. I think a lot of people would put that in the front of their B tier. A lot of people would put that in their favorite. Don't see a lot of people driving it though. It's personal preference. It just looks a little bit too cartoony for me in the game. I mean, it just the model of it in the game just looks kind of funky. So I guess we're gonna kind of leave it at that. Next, El Matador, the Camino. This thing is an absolute monster. Great, well-rounded vehicle. We're gonna put this bad boy. Gosh. We're going to put this up here. We're going to drop the Gremlin down. I just can't keep looking at the Gremlin where it's at. Sorry. The Matador is going to go in front of the Doom Rig. It's just got so much capability. I think we got to put it above. We can't put. Can we justify? We don't want to lose our morals here. Very well-rounded vehicle. You're gonna win some races in it if you're good at smashing people and staying in front. If you're starting in the back of the pack and trying to work your way up and hold off a lead for 6 laps, it's probably not your car, but it's a very fun car to drive and well rounded. Next, we're gonna go with the Killer Bee. This thing is wicked awesome to drive on certain tracks because it just goes whoop when you start driving it. It kind of like lifts at the front. We can put that probably right in front of the normal Boomer, and we're gonna put the Killer Bee S in front of the Dominator and the Cardinal, and we're gonna put it behind the Bullet. Very fun car. Something that you won't be disappointed driving. Very tipsy-turvy. So, topsy-turvy. You gotta be careful when you're driving it. Firefly, good car. Car that you can win races with if you have it on the right track. We're gonna put that in a D tier. The Hearse, not cool in my opinion. I didn't like it when it came out. Super strong, super solid vehicle. This is a vehicle that a lot of people would put in the B and A tier if we're going off of just functionality and performance. Personally, though, we're not going off functionality and performance strictly, so we're going to bring it down, and we're going to put it probably right here in front of... we're going to put it behind the Bulldog. We're going to bring the big rig up in front, kind of making some adjustments here. We're gonna put the Hearse in front of the normal Hammerhead, but behind the big rig. It's a very good car though. If you're enjoying racing, if you're a good racer, it's a good car to have. Has a lot of muscle to get people around too. Next up, the Honey Pot. Very cool, classy vehicle. We're gonna put it above the double decker, behind the Harvester. I think it's a great shitmobile. I mean, it is what it is, right? It's for having shits and giggles. It's fun. Next up, I got to sneeze. I apologize. We're gonna go with the Little Thrasher. The Little Thrasher is probably the most durable vehicle in the game. Doesn't lay the best hits. There's vehicles that lay much better hits than the Thrasher. It kind of has an up and down complexity where it doesn't get its full power in. We're going to put the Thrasher probably behind the Dominator and the Cardinal. Has more potential, but it just isn't there. Step side pickup. Next up, we'll go with the motorhome. It's a classic. It's nothing that's you're going to be writing home about every time you use it, but it's fun. It's definitely not the most functional in the game. I think we're going to edge out. If I had to choose what I'd rather drive, it just really depends. Like, do I want to drive the Killer Bee, the Bullet this round? I don't know. I think we're going to edge out the Dominator with it. For cool, we're gonna, it's kind of cool. Dominator is a lot more functional, but god dang, something about hitting people with the motorhome or getting hit with the motorhome is just so much fun. Mud Digger. The Mud Digger is kind of just I don't know, it's average vehicle as well. I think we can put that right in front of the Little Thrasher. A little bit more fun to drive on certain tracks. You know what? We're gonna drop that one down. We're gonna let the Little Thrasher have its spot. Actually, I think. Nexus RX, the little Honda. Where do we want this Honda at? Huh? A lot of people like this car. I think we can put this. Probably, I would say, in between the Cardinal and the Motorhome. This is going to be one of your best cars for functionality at technical tracks. But I don't think we can justify putting it up too much. Like we're not gonna like tout it much higher than it already is. So sorry, my phone keeps buzzing. Next we're gonna go with the Outlaw. Super cool car. It's in the DLC. Not the most functionality. Um, cool factor is there though, so I think we're gonna put this probably around. Uh, we're gonna put it in between the Killer Bee and the Cardinal again. Nice paint schemes come with that car too. So if you're a fan of hot rods, I mean, you're not going to be disappointed. Panther RS, oof, this car just average. Don't see anyone driving it anymore at the levels we play at. Um, probably gonna layer this one between the Mud Digger and the Killer Bee. Nothing special about it. The Pocket Rocket has its cool factor and its capabilities. I think we're gonna put the Pocket Rocket at the edge of D tier. We're gonna drop the blade. We're gonna drop the blade below it. If you like the blade, I'm sorry. I don't know what about me doesn't like the blade, but it's just it doesn't hit for me. I mean, obviously it's a solid, decent car, but it's not something I'm crazy about. Raiden RS. This car. It's gonna be an S tier technically. Cool factor. I like it more than the Hammerhead RS. Both of these are two of the best cars in the game. This car is very good on technical tracks. It's very snappy. It's got good mobility, up, vertical, I mean, sideways, 90-degree turns, whatever you need. That car is going to be great, and if you're good at driving it, it's going to be one of the best serving cars in the game. It's not my favorite though, so we're gonna keep rolling. Uh, Next, we have the Rammer RS. I just realized all these are alphabetical. So if you guys are wondering how the order is, we're just kind of going up and down, but it's also alphabetical. So we're kind of just dragging from both at the same time. Rammer RS, pretty fun car, honestly. I think we put the Rammer as one of the better cars in the game. Um, Does it edge out? I'm thinking in between the Gatecrasher and the Gorby. Does it edge out the Boomer? I think it edges out the Gatecrasher in fun factor and cool factor. Um, it's definitely cooler than the Boomer, but it just it peters out at a point. I mean, it's a good car. I think we'll kind of leave that right where it's at. Normal Rammer we can put down here right in front of the Hammerhead. It's not going to be anything special. Actually, I would say we could drop that into C tier. We're definitely not going to put the normal Rammer above the Bullet. I got to reassess. There we go. I think I should probably. I'm gonna leave it the way it is. We all know the Bullet's cool, right? The Bullet's cool, but like, it's just not that great. So we're gonna have to. We can't really justify like pulling it up much more than where it's already at. The Raven, one of the absolute sickest looking cars in the game. It's kind of basically like a Buick Grand National. The Raven is, or yeah, I mean, I'm like a Monte. One of them's a Monte Carlo. The Rammer's a Monte Carlo, and then the Raven's more of a Buick. Not the best car, but damn, it's slick. I think we're gonna edge out the Boomer with the Raven. There's so much cool factor on that car, in my opinion. If I was gonna pick a race to the death, and I had to put my life on the line, I'd probably take the Rammer RS. But the Raven is sick, nonetheless. The Razor, the old Skyline, kind of has kind of a cheesy look in the game. To be honest, it's awesome. A lot of people like it. I wish it looked a little bit cooler, but I think we're gonna put this as far as cool factor. mixed with functionality. Right in between the... gosh. I can't put it over the Boomer. I think I'm going to put the Raven, the Boomer, and the Razor. These are all really close for me. The four right here. This is a tough, this list is getting tough. We're gonna leave that where it's at there. Next, the Rebel Rat. I don't know what the deal is with this car. It's like super Joe dirted out. I wish I could give it higher than what I'm gonna give it, but I think we're just gonna have to kind of play it safe here. I'm gonna put it right here. It's gonna, oh Jesus, I don't know actually. I think we got to get the Hammerhead out of B tier at this point. I got to think about where to situate this. I want the hearse to be where it's at right now. I think the Rebel Rat needs to come down. It's just kind of a weird looking car. I think we're gonna have to bring that into C tier. I think we're gonna have to bring the Hammerhead down. Probably put that behind the Cardinal in front of the Nexus. There we go. I think I'm happy with that for now. Road Cutter. This is going to be the car that is one of my favorite ones in the game. I'm not gonna play favorites. I think I'm gonna have to put my first car in the S tier absolute favorite category. Road Cutter is super cool. I don't know why it has this big bumper on it in this picture. It's an awesome car. It's a very well-rounded car. You can put armor on it. You can drive it fast. It's just up to you. Road Slayer is another one that's really sick. I think the Road Slayer is probably going to be, in my opinion, right up above the Gate Crasher here. We're going to drop the Raven down one. And I think we're going to leave it like it is for now. We're going to keep rolling. Normal Road Slayer we can bring down. Put that down here. It's hard ranking the same car twice. I think we're going to put this behind the Panther. And in front of the Rammer. Speedbird and Mower? For real, right? Dude, if you like sit down on the computer and make one of these things, it's hard. It's harder than I thought. There's a lot of going back and forth here where I just don't know where I want to put something. It's honestly pretty challenging. Next we got the Rocket RX. This most closely resembles the car I have in real life, which is a '68 Cougar. It's a Mustang, obviously. Functionality wise, it's a fun car to drive. It's not the fastest, but it's probably in the top 5. For absolute favorites, I would say I can't put it in there yet because I haven't driven it enough yet, but I'm going to put it in front of the Raiden and the Hammerhead just for a cool factor. I just can't. The Hammerhead and the Raiden are better cars than the Rocket, but I as far as we're going off looks a lot too, so I'm gonna put the Rocket RX in front of there. Normal Rocket is a great car in the game, especially if you're a beginner. I think we put the normal Rocket up pretty high, actually. It's a very, very solid car, especially if you don't want to grind the tournament. Um, we're gonna put that in front of the Camino, just by a hair. It's gonna edge out the Camino. Um, what I'm doing, Deuce, is I'm rating them based on performance mixed with cool factor. So it's like a preferential list based on like what I think is cool, but also drives fast. So kind of the gimmick shtick car of this whole thing is this Bullet is odd. Yeah, I mean it's cool. Like obviously it's one of the coolest cars in the game. It's just still not good enough to justify really like bringing it up. But then, for example, this the big rig is far better than the battle bus. It's better than a lot of these other cars, but it's just not cool to me. Like I don't like the big rig as much as the Doom rig, for example. So I put the big rig down lower. It's kind of how I'm justifying it. The Grand Duke is right here. I'm gonna leave it at the front of B class. I think the Grand Duke is a tier car, but I think it's just so damn ugly. It's just too damn ugly for me, so we're gonna keep it at B. Oh, but going forward, the Sandstorm. Also, in real life, this is a super sick car. Functionality wise in the game, I think it's a very good, well-rounded vehicle. It's one of the vehicles that I absolutely probably will never drive just because it's kind of a pain to get around the track. So a lot of you guys that like the Sandstorm, I'm sorry, but this just isn't gonna make it. It's barely gonna edge out F tier for me. I'm gonna put the Sandstorm in front of the Blade. The Blade beats the Sandstorm. So congratulations, Pocket Rocket and Firefly. You can still edge out the Sandstorm. As far as capabilities, if you're running this on the Tri-Oval or something, that dirt track with 3 turns, the Sandstorm's like bar none one of the best cars for that. School bus, pretty cool. Not as cool as the Battle Bus, I would say, but it's pretty enjoyable to drive. Durability wise, not as durable as the Bullet, but it kind of packs a punch and it's good for being creative with. It allows you to have a lot of different options. If you want to like set up a road, like a roadblock, or trip people up off jumps and catch them, I think it's got a lot of utility. It's a classic staple in the game that's been in there since the game came out. I think we put it in front of... This is a tough choice, honestly. We're going to put the normal bus all the way in front of the Raven. These cars are kind of like up in the air for me now. I'm kind of debating about the Gorby dropping that down. Yeah, Deuce, I agree. The Pocket Rocket is pretty trash. The more I think about it, I've kind of been on the fence about that too. The only reason I brought it up is because of the cool factor. I think it looks cool, but as far as the functionality, definitely one of the worst ones in the game. So I think the Honey Pot might even be easier to drive. But next up, we got the Sofa. Pretty cool, but not that amazing. I think we're gonna put the Sofa behind the Shitter. I think the Honey Pot's cooler. The Sofa's fast, but it's super hard to control. The ability to have the body fly out of it's cool, but like, I don't know. It's just not the choice. Next up, for all you watching, we have some gentlemen in here that enjoy the Speedbird. Hey, all time, how you doing? We're gonna be ranking the Speedbird on this game. This is the car that's on the cover of the game, so we can't deter too much. I don't think. I think it's one of the coolest in the game. We're gonna set up the B tier with the Speedbird. So we're actually bringing the Duke down, and we're gonna put the Speedbird at an admirable top of B tier. Pretty cool car. I think it's I think it has a little bit to gain as far as in performance. It's not the best performance car in the game, but really cool. Really fun to drive too. Yeah, MG, I haven't seen you in a while. It's been a long time, so we got affiliated on here, and we got some emotes and all sorts of cool stuff. So we're kind of shooting like a video to be cut for YouTube later right now. Um, but normally we've just been playing kind of some racing games and stuff. So yeah, I hope you're doing good. Hope you're having a good St. Patty's Day weekend. Um, Next, the Speed Demon. Kind of a cool car, but it just barely edges out probably the. Actually, I gotta be more reasonable with this. I think the Speed Demon's pretty cool because it has a lot of paint scheme options, but it's just not the best looking car. I'm gonna put that in front of the Boomer. It's gonna be in the C tier. Really fun to drive. Um, Next up, the Speedy. Right in front of the Boomer, that's gonna go. If you guys like Mini Coopers, that's your car. If you've played a lot of older racing games in the past, the Mini Cooper's always a staple, so they kind of had to carry it over into this game. Very good functionality on technical tracks. Um, we're actually going to bring the rammer down a peg. I think that's up a little bit too high. So yeah, we're going to leave everything right there where it's at. I keep forgetting that this Road Slayer isn't the top dog Road Slayer, so we're going to bring that down too. We're gonna keep the Speedy right behind the Speed Demon. Next, let's drag and drop the Helvester. I think the Helvester has to edge out the Harvester, has to edge out the Pocket Rocket. Anyone who watches or plays in the Wreckfest community, we know a guy that can drive backwards on this thing, and he is super fast at it. This thing has a lot of like fun opportunity, but it's just not that durable. So I think for cool factor and like what I feel like driving sometimes, this is gonna actually round up, and I'm gonna put this right here. It's in between the Bullet. It's a toss up between the Bullet and the Helvester, but the Helvester for me takes the cake right now at the C tier. Deuce knows there's a gentleman that he's like a staple of the Wreckfest community we play with, and this is what he drives, and it's kind of just like we kind of love to see it around. It's the kind of vehicle you love to see in the game, but you don't want to have more than like one or two of them. More than two just gets to be too much. MG, how's your school been going? I'm guessing you guys have spring break now, don't you? Next is the Star Beast. Cool, awesome car. Kind of a staple. I think we're going to put this probably right behind the Bullet. This is one of the best cars in the game for well-rounded and easy to drive. I I have a hard time putting it above this stuff. I personally would bring the hearse down below, but as far as functionality, the hearse is so good functionally wise that I gotta kind of leave it where it's at. Oh dang! You had an early spring break. Students had an early spring break this year then. Next up, the Stellar, pretty cool Euro car. I think it's one of the coolest looking cars in the game. I think it has kind of crap performance, to be honest. So I think we're going to kind of have to be a little bit meticulous with this one. We're going to put this one right behind the Bandit Ripper. If you like Euro cars, that's a cool car, though. I think that's one that, definitely they needed to bring to the game to kind of appeal to the wider audience. Not a lot of people in Wreckfest are just from the United States. They play from all over. So this is a nation or a worldwide game that they need to have variety in. And I think that is a good staple of a car to have that adds some variety to the game. Next up is the step van. Very cool. I hate playing against it. I've never actually, this is the one car in the game I don't think I've ever driven besides the Trooper. So I think I'm going to have to kind of put this at an indifferent. It just depends. Like, it's just, sometimes when you play against it, it's kind of a pain in the butt to play against. So I think for me, it's not really going to be edging out much. I'm going to put it in front of the Firefly in the D tier. Next up's the stock car. This one's pretty fun on dirt tracks. It's not super fast, but it's got a cool look if you guys like dirt track racing. I'm a huge sprint car guy, so I watch all the World of Outlaws races each season. I wish it was a little bit more snappy. It doesn't have all the snap that you think one of these kind of cars would. It feels a lot more like a go-kart. I think we're going to put this car right in front of the Star Beast. It's a fun car, but it's a DLC car, so if you don't have it, you're actually not going to be able to play it. It has the best, I would say in my opinion, one of the best paint scheme livery packages in the game. So if you like that kind of stuff, you get a lot of creativity with that car. I think that's one that you guys would like if you were able to drop the $1.99 and pick up that package. Next up, the Sunrise Super. Sorry I keep dragging this up here, but one of the fastest cars in the game and coolest looking. Personally, it's not the kind of car I'd have in real life, but very solid. It's going to be hard to drop this much below anything else. This is going to go for me right up in between the Speedbird and the Grand Duke. Performance-wise, the Grand Duke and the Super are better than the Speedbird, probably. But if you're looking for something more well-rounded, the Speedbird's kind of going to be that car. Speedbird definitely has more armor, too. So depending on what lobby you're in, Speedbird's going to be the choice. Next, we have the Hornet. Super cool looking car, I think. It's like it's an old Ford. I can't remember what kind of car this is, but it's an interesting car. I think we're gonna put this one kind of in the C tier somewhere. It's not the best car in the game, but just fun to drive, fun looking, kind of an ugly car, you know, not something you'd expect to be racing fast, but we're gonna put that right here, I think, in between the Hammerhead and the Cardinal. Not a bad car. Next up, Super Van. The weakest car in the game. And sketchiest car to drive. It oozes a little bit of cool with a little bit of, it's like a mixture of cool mixed with like, don't ever give me this car. It's a laughing stock if it's on the track. Everyone likes wrecking it right away. I think I'm going to put this... it's not cooler than the Combine, I don't think. I don't think I can put it above the Combine. I don't know. Well, this is a tough choice, people. I think we edge out F tier with the Super Van. And we bring the Combine up into D. No. God, this is tough. I think we're gonna have to make a decision. They're both kind of equal, I guess. I'll put them both right there. Next one's the Sweeper. This one's probably pretty similar, I would say, to the Hornet. We're gonna put this one right in front of. You know what? We'll put it right in between the Hornet and the Hammerhead. We'll just leave that simple. Next one's the TriStar. This one's coming up big time. Very fun car to drive. Very fast car. Um, this is going to be the first car that we've had in a while. Edge out. Ow. It's going to edge out the Boomer RS in fun factor. I like it a lot. A lot of people would prefer the Boomer RS for more of a technical track, but I think we're going to kind of leave it where it's at. When's your guys' school done, MG? I forgot to ask. Did you guys finish up your school probably around, I'm guessing in May here, pretty soon? But next we're gonna go with the, let's see, the Hot Shot. Personally, the Hot Shot is it's a 57 Chevy. Not really one of my favorite cars. Not that great looking. Not that durable. I think we're gonna put this one probably in front of the Boomer and the Killer Bee. Bottom of C class. Trophy runner. Never driven this car either, I guess. I forgot. I've never driven this pickup. Pretty fun looking when people drive it. I think we couldn't put that behind the Hot Shot. I think we're gonna run the trophy runner and put it right behind the motorhome. Cool looking car. Cool looking pickup. The Vandal, the van. Haven't driven this too much, but this one personally probably isn't that great either. I think we can't really justify putting it up too high. Cool factors there. I think it's kind of cool because you can make it into the A-Team car. We're going to put the Vandal right behind the Panther RS. The cool factor really brought it up kind of over these cars, even though it's not that good. Venom, not a big fan of Corvettes. Some people really like Corvettes. I'm a Ford guy. So I think for me, the Venom's probably going to be down towards the bottom. It's a really good car. We're going to go and put the Venom right here in between the Hot Shot and the Rammer. It's hard to argue the speed, though. Speed's there. The thing is, you have to, if you're either like a Mustang fan, like the Rocket, or a Venom guy, and I'm a Rocket guy. So that's just kind of where I'm at with how that works. I drive the Super Venom a lot, and we're going to get to that, but just so you guys know, I think of the Venom and the Super Venom quite a bit differently, even though they're pretty much the same car. One just has a spoiler. Next for the War Digger, not my favorite vehicle in the game, not my favorite one to race against either. It's the tankiest vehicle in the game, so it deals the most damage. Personally, if I had to choose vehicles to race, this would be one of my last ones, unless I had to take out a vengeance on somebody. So this car for me is gonna go F tier. Absolutely. Functionality wise, this is a B tier vehicle for sure. But as far as, do I want these in the game when I'm racing? No. Nothing good ever happens when these are in the game. And there's a lot of them, trust me. So we're gonna put that in the F tier. Somehow this Blade car has stayed in D tier. I don't know how, but we're gonna leave that there. Next up, we got the Hunter Panther. Pretty cool car. Just doesn't hold a match to the it can't keep up with the Hammerhead RS or the Grand Duke or the Super Venom. So I think we're gonna have to put this probably around the Gremlin area. It's a good car, but it just doesn't have the guts that some of the other ones do. Killer Pig, it's so fun to drive. I think the Killer Pig's got good speed, fun to drive, just doesn't have that durability. I think we can put the Killer Pig safely right in between the Rammer and the Road Slayer. This one also has the best graphics kit in the game with cool words and phrases. and it has the best color schemes out of probably almost all of them. People that just leave the pig pink are kind of screwing up, in my opinion. There's a lot of different color pop ability with that one, but functionality wise, it's just not. It's not there. And the trophy runner, I mean, personally, I don't like the trophy runner that much, but it's just so much better for a DLC car. Like if you're gonna go for like different DLCs that are in this package, the Hornet's a DLC, the stock car, the trophy runner, the Outlaw. I mean, the pig's just not that good, so we're gonna have to kind of leave it down. The Wingman, probably the ugliest car in the game. Drives flat as a board. The driving of it isn't actually that bad, but damn, this thing is just so ugly. Nothing really gets more ugly than this, I don't think. We're gonna put it in front of the buggy and the Bugzilla and the bumper car. It's near the bottom. It doesn't get much worse. The mower. This is a tough one for me. I think the mower is going to be in the favorite tier. Deuce, my buddies know this thing is like absolutely the funnest vehicle in the game, probably to drive for an adrenaline rush. If you're trying to dodge left and right, in and out, this is the one you're going to want to use. It's a battle to survive. It's a true Wreckfest when you're driving the mower, and it has ability to win and to spin out other people. It's hands down the most. It's one of the most enjoyable vehicles in the game. That's underappreciated in my opinion. Hands down the most underused vehicle in the game. Is it the best? Obviously no, but it's so much fun. And it frustrates a lot of people too. The only downfall of the mower is you can die in it so quickly. If your body gets ran over, you die immediately pretty much. So if you fall off, you just got to hope your guy really like gets off to the side. Otherwise you die quick. Next up, the limo. Great vehicle. Very good durability. Very good speed. It's good at C class and good at A class. It definitely has its uses for certain tracks. This is a tough one to rank, but I think I'm actually going to put the limo at the bottom. Oh, this is tough. I'm going to put the limo at the bottom of B tier. Just based off of the hits you can do with it, the durability, it's a really good durable vehicle. If you wanted to go troll around in this thing, super solid. It's hard to kind of choose where I want to put the Helvester, but we're going to put the limo where it's at. Next up, the Star Beast SS. It's one of the cars I don't think I've actually gotten to drive in the game, but I know it's supposedly quite a bit better than the Star Beast. So I think we're going to have to weigh this vehicle heavily because we know that the Star Beast is pretty solid for driving around. I think we're going to put this Star Beast SS right behind the Raven and the Razor. Or right in front, I mean. We're going to put it right behind the school bus. I may be weighing the school bus a little bit too high, but I mean, it's a classic staple of the game. You see the bus in almost every lobby you race. You see usually one bus, or at least a battle bus or something. So I'm gonna put the Star Beast right behind that. Next up, we have the Super Venom. Drivability, functionality, speed. If we're gonna go with all those, this is the top dog. This and the Hammerhead and the Raiden are the three top dogs in the game. I'm going to put the Super Venom at A tier. I drive this one a lot just because I like the way it handles. The looks of it are okay. I tell people it reminds me of the Speed Racer car. But personally, it's just not my favorite looking vehicle. It's an S tier car. It's just not my favorite looking vehicle. So I think I'm going to have to put it in A tier. As far as looks go, I think the Rocket RX is cooler looking. This is just such a better performing car. I don't think I can like justify dropping it below. Granted, I have a mower and a road cutter at the top, but like this is the favorite category, so it's just different. But next we have the Trooper. I've never driven this car before. I never will. I'm not a Jeep guy. Anyone that has a Jeep, I'm sorry. I know you probably have a custom license plate in the back with your name on it or something. It's just not my thing. I think people that like Jeeps are their own kind of people. They have their own group. Like, you know how it is. If you like Jeeps, you like Jeeps. They're a cool vehicle. I actually don't mind the Wranglers, but it's just not my vehicle of choice. That one's this is just gonna upset people, but it's just not my choice. Next up, we'll go with the Wild King. This vehicle is kind of like a Mustang Mach 5, I believe, or is it a Mach 1? I think it's a Mustang Mach 1. It's just been a while since I remember what those were called, but this one's pretty solid. I think we could put this easily near the middle of B tier. I think we're going to have to put this probably right behind the Camino, because the Camino just edges it out personally in cool factor. And it has more durability, which I enjoy about it in the game. It's really good on ramps and stuff. This Camino, you're always going to finish in the top 10 in the Camino, honestly. It's a super solid top 10 car. It's not something you're going to be winning races in, but if you're wanting to have a good time, that's the kind of car that you're going to pick. Wild King is actually similar. You're not going to be DNFing a lot if you throw a little bit of armor on it. But last but not least, you guys can see we already ranked the bumper car. We're going to go with the War Wagon, I guess. And it just so happens that the War Wagon is my favorite car in the game. It is the War Wagon, the road cutter, and the mower. I think the War Wagon is one of the funnest cars in the game to drive. It has the best hit feel, in my opinion. The way when it hits a car, the collision detection of the car is really solid. It has one of the best sounding exhausts in the game. It has probably one of the best up and down, if you're going through a rhythm section, feels. Once you turn sideways, it kind of becomes a problem, and it also is a problem if people spin it out all the time. But man, it is so much fun to drive, and station wagons are a staple of Demolition Derby racing games. So I think it has to be in my top A. Most people actually put this car in their B tier. It's a really solid car in the game. But yes, I think I could take one last look at the list, see if anything needs to be changed, and then kind of round it out from there. This section in the C class was one of the ones that I really struggled with, and then kind of the Stellar and the Drag Slayer and the Bandit Ripper. I just really don't know. Like, obviously the Bulldog is a better car than where it's at. Same with the Big Rig. The Hearse is probably a better car. Obviously the Doom Rig should be down way further, but I think I'm pretty happy with where everything's at. I wouldn't change it up too much. Took a lot of thought to go into this, so I think we're going to leave it right there. And I'll actually be honest. I think I'm going to have to cut the stream off here for about maybe 1 hour. And I'll have to get on in an hour, I think, at 10 o'clock, and then start gaming for the night. So these were kind of snippets created for YouTube channel. If you guys are chilling out, I super appreciate it. Deuce, I'll see you tonight on Rec too. Yes. If you guys want to come hang out though and have be having some sodas later or something. I don't know. I have a tea now. I don't know what I'll drink later. We'll see. I'll probably drink I don't drink energy drinks as much anymore, but I'll be chilling out playing games and stuff. So if you guys are bored and want to come hang out later, I definitely wouldn't mind. Feel free. So thank you guys for hanging out. I'll see you later.